From Latrobe Motorsports Studios, this is Ride Along with Howie from the fast half-mile track at Latrobe Speedway, where it's grassroots racing at its finest. Here's Howie.
Race fans, are you ready? Guess what? It's time for another edition of Ride Along with Howie, and today we're going to go with a new team that's going to be competing at the Latrobe Speedway. We're joined by McCade Elliott, Jonathan Greenawalt, and Kyra Greenawalt, who will be sharing the driving chores on the number 15. A little bit of history. Jonathan is a transplant from asphalt racing. Jonathan, why don't we go ahead and talk to you first? You started racing when? About 1994?
Yes, 1994 at Motordrome Speedway.
And you guys came out a little different. You had a Ford. And I remember meeting you back then. You guys were all diehard Ford people. And you competed on a limited schedule in 94. Had an impressive full season in 1995. Didn't crack victory lane. But over the 95 to 96 season, you teamed up with Dave Schlesinger, and you guys built a couple of cars, one for you, one for Dave Schlesinger. And first night out, you picked up a victory. You went to victory lane aboard a Chevrolet.
Yes, that is true. We were always Ford guys, but Dave wasn't, and the Fords were a little more expensive to build, so we built the Monte Carlo, and it took us to victory lane opening night.
And I remember after the races, we were standing there, and I was kind of teasing you a little bit, and I said, Jonathan, you see what happens? You get into a Chevy, your first night out, you win, and you're like, knew something about racing, didn't know anything about racing, pointing to the Ford, but you guys did a lot with a family team. It was you and your dad and your brother, and your mom was up there videoing, and a bunch of your friends. And really, for not having any racing knowledge, you guys did pretty good with that Ford.
I thought so. Yeah, we had some help from a couple guys at the track. Sean Beam, former driver at Motordrome in Jennerstown, he helped us out a good bit. But yeah, we just kind of studied up and learned, and I don't think we did too bad for being on our own, more or less.
And then in 96, you had a great season. You picked up multiple feature wins at the Motordrome Speedway, at the Jennerstown Speedway. End of the year, you won the Jennerstown Speedway Championship for your dad and Dave Schlesinger, who were your car owners that year.
Yes, that's correct. We were first at Jennerstown and ended up third at Motordrome.
And then after that, you decided you wanted to move up, and you bypassed a couple divisions and moved into asphalt late models and ran those for about, 4 or 5 years?
Yeah, probably 5 or 6 years. I don't know if that was the smartest move we could have made, but at the time, the modifieds were just brand new. No one knew if they were going to take hold. They tried starting the truck division, but no one was real sure of that. So late models were the only secure division that we knew would be there for multiple years.
And you did that, and after that, you decided you were offered a ride in a modified, and first night out, second place, and second race out, I think you were ninth, and there was no third race, correct?
That's correct.
And modified career, 2 top 10 finishes, and then you stepped away from racing for a year or two, and you and your dad and your crew chief, Ken Haberjack, went and said, you know what, let's go back to the stocks when we had fun, and brought out the number 12 Chevrolet, ran that for probably half of a season, and after that, you stepped away from it. Is that correct?
Yeah. When we went back to to that street stock, the intention was just to go back and have some fun, and we did that. But it wasn't quite the same as it used to be. We never planned on going every night. We went when we were able, and we had fun, but it wasn't the same. And at that point, I had a couple young kids and housewife, and just racing was it had to take a back seat.
And then you're obviously mentioned about your 2 daughters, and hey, kudos to you, man. You got your priorities together, and you were there to see your kids grow up and be the dad that you wanted to be involved in their sports and all that fun stuff. And you had a milestone this year. You turned 50, and you and your wife were talking, and you decided to get back into racing at age 50, but you're doing it the way you started, as a family team.
Yeah, and the good thing is the wife and I are still talking, so she's on board with this. I consider it my midlife crisis, even though it's probably a little past midlife. But yeah, we're gonna. In the beginning, both daughters wanted to drive, but the one's kind of backed out. She's got a little different priorities. She's still involved, but she's not going to drive. My youngest daughter, Kyra, is going to drive, and my son-in-law, McCade, is going to drive. We're all three going to kind of split the driving time.
Now, how are you guys going to do that? Are you going to each get a month in the car, or 2 weeks for one, 2 weeks for another, 2 weeks?
We've kicked around a couple ideas. I think we're going to just take everybody gets a week, just rotate between the three of us. And if it keeps raining out, that's going to throw a monkey wrench in our plans, but we're going to do the best we can.
And Jonathan, when you started this, it was you and your dad, your brother Christopher, your mom, and a bunch of your buddies. Now it's still you and your mom, your brother Christopher, I'm sure, is still going to be around. But does it seem weird now being the dad versus the kid?
Yeah, I keep waiting to feel like an adult, and I'm not there yet.
And you told me your wife was supportive of it, but she went and struck your fire suit, so you had to go get 3 new fire suits.
Yeah, I still think she shrunk it in the dryer or something.
And you got the car, and you're going dirt this time, where nobody has any experience, so there's no notebook to go back onto, and you stop and think it's probably better for McCade and Garry because, like I said, you're a former champion up at the Jennerstown Speedway. You pull in there, and I'm not saying there'd be pressure on them, but you're going with a clean slate to the dirt track.
Yeah, we're all starting over. Yeah, we've raced for a long time, but other than practice day a couple of weeks ago, I've never been on dirt in my life. So we went to the second practice day, got a few laps in, but yeah, we're all starting over. We're all rookies, and we're just going to have fun.
Now, McCade, how do you feel, getting a chance to do some racing? I mean, do you come from a racing family yourself? Have you always been a race fan?
No, I never really came from a racing family. My dad, threw out ideas and stuff, and hey, we'll go to a race here and there, but it never really happened. But it's definitely exciting to see this actually happen, and it's exciting.
And what are some of the changes you guys got to make to the car? Do you have to change seats for any of the drivers, Jonathan, or you just put padding in to make the difference?
No, the seat we got with the car, Kyra fits into, and I can fit into it without the padding. We got a bigger seat. McCade's a little bigger. Now, I fit a little better in the bigger seat, so I could actually fit in either. But depending on the driver, yeah, we're going to have to swap seats. But everything else, the pedals are okay. The steering wheel, everything else is good. It's just the seat that's got to be swapped.
And McCade, I know you got to take the car out on practice day, and for somebody who never raced before, what was it like pulling out on the track? I mean, intimidating,
It was
scary.
a strange feeling. It was nothing can compare to that. It was so much to get used to. The car itself, the track, knowing where the lights are, the flag, everything. It was definitely different than anything else I've experienced.
And I know, unfortunately, you guys had a fuel filter issue, and Kyra didn't get a chance to get out there. But how do you feel about it? I mean, this is something, I don't want to say like your dad got out of racing because of you, but because of the love he had for you and your sister and your mom, that he wanted to spend the most time with you growing up. And it's kind of cool that you and your dad have the racing in common.
I'm pretty excited about it still, even though I didn't get to go in the car yet. But I think I'll be fine as long as I don't crash.
Well, don't put any pressure on yourself. Listen, you got to go at your own speed, your own pace, and adapt to it the way you can. And I mean, it's going to take time to get into the car and get comfortable. And I know your dad's talking about renting the track so you guys can each jump in and out of the car, and you know, which is great. But the problem is, are you going to have to start, switching seats at the track, Jonathan, or can make,
Well, for practice day, since it was just such a quick turn in the car, McCade actually got into the smaller seat. We had that one in the car, so he can fit in it. It's just not as comfortable as the other one. So depending what goes on, how much time we have, we can make it work with one seat.
Now, Kyra, where did your love of racing come from? Your dad or in your pap? I mean, just hearing the stories about it, or you ever watched any of the old videos?
I have been forced to watch the old videos a couple times. I don't really like watching the races, but whenever we went to the actual track, it seemed like it was a lot of fun, and I think that's where it came from. But my dad and Pap have been talking about it my entire life, so
She doesn't remember, but we had her at Motordrome. I wasn't racing. It was a year I had quit for a while, but she was only a couple months old, and the wife and I wanted to get out of the house, kind of the first time out with her. And we took her to Motordrome, parked in the parking spots in 3 and 4, and sat right there. But when the cars ran, we put the back door of the SUV down so it was quiet, and she slept the whole night. She didn't know she was there, but she was at the track at a couple months old.
That's awesome. And, Jonathan, now you're also a granddad, and, it's kind of crazy to stop and think. When I met you, you had the long black hair and, you were driving.
It's all gone and gray now.
Hey, at least you got hair. Mine's all gone.
I don't have much, Howie.
But it's kind of cool because we kind of grew up together at the track, and, it's great to see you coming back. And this time you're bringing the family. And, what are the goals for the year?
Well, the short-term goals are to make big circles around the track, not little tight ones. After that, there really isn't any goal, Howie. If we can keep the car in one piece and have fun, these two have never been in a race car before, so the goal is just to go out there and have fun. For me, I mean, I do have a lot of experience, but I have none on the dirt. So if we can not get lapped and kind of be competitive in the field somewhere, that would be great.
And also, coming up, you are new. We do have the month of money in August, and Joe's Body Shop in Towing, they put on a great pure stock special. And you know what? It's going to be great to see who's going to end up driving that race to, see how
We're going to keep you in suspense for that one.
Well, you got to tell us who's driving, because I think, we like to announce who it is. So we don't want to be going like McCade, Greenawalt, Jonathan Elliott.
No, we'll let you know, but just not tonight.
Okay. Jonathan, how cool is it now you're getting, like I said, to pass this on to your son-in-law, your daughter, the love of racing and the love of cars that you and your dad have?
That's great. It means a lot to have the family at the track. It's how we did it before, but I was the kid. Now, supposedly I'm the grown up and the kids are with me. So, and like you said, I got a granddaughter now, so she's not even quite 2 yet, but to have everybody there and at the garage at night when we work on the car, it's a lot of fun.
Now, will Christopher get a chance, your brother behind the wheel, or you're keeping him for his chiropractic skills?
Absolutely not. He'll be around, but no, he's not into the driving or anything like that.
And you know what? That was kind of cool, because even when, you guys were racing before, it wasn't like Christopher was like, getting in your head, hey, let me take it out for a lap. Because Christopher's athletic, at least he was, but he was into biking and like karate, if I remember right.
Yeah, you remember correctly. Yeah, we are two different people. I'm more into the cars and the wrenching on them and stuff, and he wants no parts of it. He enjoys the racing. He comes and watches, but he doesn't want to turn wrenches or be the driver.
McCade, how hard was it for you to, come March, there's a race car sitting there. I mean, Do you have a mechanical background?
Not really. My dad's been turning wrenches ever since I can remember, well before I was born. So, I was in the garage all the time. Matter of fact, I think I spent more time in the garage than I did his own house. But other than that, not really.
And is this fulfilling a dream for you? I mean, did you ever think that you'd get a chance to drive a race car?
I always thought it would be cool, and I always thought maybe one day it'd happen, but never thought this early, and definitely not like this.
And Kyra, same thing for you. You mentioned you don't necessarily like watching racing, but you excited for the chance to get behind the wheel of a race car. And if I saw right, you just got your license last week, right?
I got my permit last week.
Permit for racing or street driving? So I
I'm
mean,
pretty excited about it.
third generation of Greenawalt involved in racing. Your pap. I don't think your pap Brian ever drove, but he was always there wrenching on the cars, and he was good at developing young drivers, such as your dad. Chris Sanders is another one that comes to mind. He came through the Greenawalt Driver Developmental Program, we'll call it, and you guys both won championships. So I mean, it's great to see you guys back in the racing. And Jonathan, does it seem weird going in that garage now and realizing that you got to pay for that number 15 versus Dad?
Yeah, it's a lot different in that respect. That's for sure. When we need something, it's just not, hey, Dad, we need this. And actually, I hear that, I guess, instead of being the guy that says it. So
it's Karen McCade going, hey, Dad. And you're like, he's over there, right?
Yeah, he's still around. He still helps out all the time. And as a matter of fact, he just painted the car this weekend. Since we got rained out, we're running a little behind our normal pace, and we didn't have the car painted, but we do now, and it'll be the numbers will be on it for sure this weekend. I don't know that we're gonna get all the sponsors on for this weekend, but we will for next.
Now, I remember correctly, the one sponsor you always had was Data Quest and Associates. Are they coming back?
No, only because that was a company that my uncle had started, a computer programming company, and he's retired and no longer has the business. So
some of your other sponsors were Heritage Harley Davidson, ESI, Greenawalt Construction. Any of them coming back?
No, and the reason being is I didn't go out looking for sponsors because we're going at this at a different attitude than we did on the asphalt. We're not racing for championships. We're out to have fun. We're going to miss a few weeks because we're still going on family vacations. When I did it in the past, I mean, I missed weddings. I missed everything because we were racing every weekend, 2 nights a week. And I don't want to do it that way again. I want to have fun. I want to be at the track, but we're not going to miss family vacations or anything. So I didn't want any obligations. The few sponsors that we have are basically friends. We're either doing favors for them or they're returning favors to them or they're doing favors for us. It's not quite like it used to be. So I did not go and approach anybody else or any of the old sponsors that we had.
Jonathan, I'm going to ask you a unique question. Now, we know Kyra didn't get a chance to get in on practice day, but what was it like seeing your car go around the track with McCade in it and not you?
You know what? A lot of people have asked me that and how I was going to handle that. And to be perfectly honest with you, I found it kind of neat. Years ago, I wouldn't have handled that very well, but this was the plan all along. Even before I bought the car, this was the plan. This is the way I wanted to do it. And I thought it was pretty neat. And he did really well for the first time ever in a car. He did really well.
And that's just raising the bar there. And I'm sure Kyra is going to do really good. And, you mentioned your other daughter was also interested in driving, but she's not going to do it this year.
No, she's the one that has the 2-year-old or almost 2. And after the baby came along, her priorities changed a little bit. And she's a mom and worried about different things now and doesn't want to get in the race car. So but that's all good. I'm happy with that.
It gives McCade a chance now, right?
Yep, that's it.
And I've noticed one thing, Jonathan, not trying to put pressure on you, but you're back in a Chevrolet and, it's a stock car. And the first time you ran a Chevy, stock car, you won.
Don't expect that, Howie. This is all new. And after practice day, I felt that I did better than I thought I was going to. I mean, it's been 15 years since I've been in a race car, and I spent my whole career trying not to slide the car. Now I'm trying to slide the car, and it's different. So, yeah, we're not putting any pressure like that, trying to go out for a win opening night. Now, if we were back at Jennerstown, that might be a goal that I'd keep to myself, but definitely not on the dirt, not this year.
Now, are you guys – one thing I always like to ask, where did your number come from, Jonathan, the 15?
To be honest, when we first started racing, I wanted to be the number 11. And it was kind of a joke amongst me and some friends that it didn't matter if I was backwards or upside down, they'd still know I was number 11. But that number was taken to the time, and I had a couple Matchbox cars of like the Winston Cup cars, and one of them that I had sitting on a mantle when I was on the phone was the 15 Bud Moore car that Dale Earnhardt drove. So when they said 11 was taken, I really didn't have a backup plan. I looked at that and took 15 and have had it ever since. Other than the 1 year, the last year we had the street stock, the 15 was taken again. So we went to 12.
And your modified was 77.
Yeah, that was already a done deal before I got in it, though. Yes.
Now, McCade and Kyra, are you guys going to use the number 15 too, or are you guys going to duct tape some numbers on it your weeks?
I can answer that for them. They're going to be 15K and 15M.
Hey, McCade and Kyra, I'm going to give you some advice. I don't know if you're aware of this. I own a couple race cars, and Adam Kostelnik drives for me. And when he drove modifieds, he drove a number 60 and had a ton of success. Then he came over to me, and we struggled. And I remember one day we were going somewhere, and my number's 00, and it used to be number 3 because my parents were cheap, and anytime I played sports, to get 2 numbers was an extra couple of dollars. My dad said, I ain't doing it. So he said, you can find a single digit. So I always had 3. Well, when we started racing, we started in 2 divisions with nothing. And I was a huge Steve Pellis fan, so the number was 100L. But, NASCAR scoring only do 2 digits. So we were 00. And I remember one day we were going up to Lake Erie, and Adam's trying to get me to change my number. And I looked at him, I said, you know what? I'm going to tell you what my dad always told me. And he said, what's that? The one who pays the bills is the one who has to say. And Adam looked at me and goes, you know what? I like those 00s. They're really nice. I said,
I think they'll like their numbers.
15 will too. But listen, I want to welcome you guys to Latrobe Speedway. We appreciate you guys choosing to compete with us. You guys are a great story, and I appreciate you guys taking the time on this evening to go for a ride. And you know what? Why don't you guys go ahead and thank everybody who helps make this possible. And McCade and Kyra, don't forget Jonathan.
Go ahead.
I would like to thank my family and my father for letting me race the car.
I'd like to thank you, absolutely. And then I'd definitely like to thank Kenny and your dad and everyone else.
We still have a lot of help. Probably the most important is my wife, Bobby, for letting me do this, letting us do this. My mom and dad are big supporters. We're in their garage again. So they've given up parking spots in the warm garage for us to race. Kenny Haberjack's been with us since probably the third year we've raced and been with me ever since. I thought I might have to talk him into this. And as soon as I told him I wanted to go race and he kind of him-hawed around, I said, Kenny, I'd like to try dirt this time. And he's jumped in with both feet ever since. So, he is going to be a huge help because his family raced dirt before Motordrome got paved. So it's been a long time, but he has a lot of background in dirt. And I guess just the kids and the family and my Uncle Garry's still here most nights that we're in the garage trying to help out, doing what he can do. So it's definitely a family affair.
No, I remember how you wanted to make sure you kept Kenny around for a long time. And what better way to do that than make him family as your aunt married Kenny and it kept them around a long time, didn't it, Jonathan?
And I'm sure you remember they got married at Motordrome Speedway one night before the races.
I do remember that. And I remember when you got married, I took pictures at your wedding, and
Yep.
it's
If I could, I'd like to say one thing before we're all done. I'd like to thank you for letting us do this. And everybody I've met so far at Latrobe's been super nice, great to get along with. We're new. We don't know where everything's at. We don't know what's going on all the time, but everybody's been helpful. We do have a couple sponsors, and one sponsor that we've had forever and did come back this year that I didn't ask, that came to us, is you might know him, Howie. It's Howie Bayless Photography. Been on a car for a long time, and come back and want to do it again. So we appreciate that. We thank you.
Well, I appreciate you guys coming to Latrobe. And one thing I did want to mention to you, we have a kids club, and we have drivers go up and do stuff with the kids. And maybe one Saturday, you guys, all three, you can come on up and do something with the kids club.
Absolutely. Let us know. We'll do it.
And we put cars on display when you come in sometimes. So maybe we can get you guys. I'm sorry, Kyra. You people. Terminology. You three to maybe come on up and put the car on display and do some autographs and get involved with the kids club. I think you folks will enjoy it.
I absolutely. I would love to do it. You let us know when and where, and we'll do everything we can to participate.
Hey, real fast, what is the name of the team? It was JD Square at one point, wasn't it?
It was, because it was John, Dad, and Dave.
Yeah.
For Dave Schlesinger. Then when we kind of went on our own, it was JD Racing for John and Dad. And now it's JDK, John, Dad, and Kids.
Oh, I thought it was Kyra. I was going to say, what about McCade?
Well, that's what Kyra will tell you. It's the case for her, but it's actually Kids.
Okay. Or you could put W for women, They're all women. And in all seriousness, I wish you guys good luck. Please don't hesitate. If there's anything we can do at the track to help you guys, please let us know.
We will do that. Thank you. We appreciate you guys doing this for us.
Race fans, that's Jonathan, McCade, and Kyra, the drivers of JDK Motorsports, car number 15. Thanks for going for a ride, guys.
Thank you.
Race fans, we're hoping that this Saturday night, Mother Nature will work with us and we can have our opening night, which will feature the K2 Engineering Crate late models, the Pro Stocks, the Joe's Body Shop and Towing Pure Stocks, the Specialty Metals Modified Fords, and the Dean Pollock Hobby Stocks will be making their first race ever at the Latrobe Speedway. But for all the latest information, be sure to check out our website and our Facebook page. Again, we're hoping Mother Nature will work with us and we can get that opening night in. But while we have a chance, I'd like to go ahead and thank all of our track sponsors that include K2 Engineering, Joe's Body Shop and Towing, Specialty Metals, Marilungo Disposal, Dean Pollock, Latrobe Glass and Mirror, General Carbide, Bowman Plumbing, Garry's Auto Sales, Porta-John Rental Company, Auto Tag Store, A1 Machine Shop and Performance, Tite Paving, and RPM, the official part sponsor of Latrobe Speedway. Please support those who support racing, and remember, we'll see you hopefully this Saturday at the races.